Hi everybody, I hope you're all doing well. My name is Amy, welcome to my channel. Today I'll be setting up my June pages using these Rainbow Llama stickers from Hubman and Chubgirl. I have these 3 sheets of llamas frolicking in the clouds and rainbows. I also have a few extra stickers from the collection I may or may not end up using. I'll also be using these Derwent Inktense watercolor pencils in coordinating colors. The first 6 days of June will share the same spread as the last day of May because I do a Sunday start week and I like to have a full 7-day week on one spread. Since the first few days of a month typically share a spread with the previous month, I generally don't have space for a full cover spread, so I'm creating a mini cover / mega header at the top of the right hand page. I already sketched out the layouts in pencil, and I'm using the Derwent Inktense watercolor pencils in rainbow colors to create some flowy organic shapes. I want it to look like a liquid rainbow running down the page. I use a Tombow dual brush pen colorless blender to activate the watercolor pencil so the paper doesn't buckle like it would if I used water and a brush. I feel like the watercolor pigment turns out a little smoother than if I used marker, and I want to avoid the waxy finish of regular colored pencils. I left the monthly header and planner boxes white. Each spread will have 8 boxes, one for each day of the week and one for notes. I'm using an 08 Pigma Micron to outline the header, boxes, and each shape to give everything more definition. These colors are definitely a little bolder than what I normally use, but the Rainbow Llama theme has really grown on me and pushed me a little out of my comfort zone. I won't be creating a monthly calendar because I make all of my weekly pages at one time and I move everything from my future log directly to my weekly pages. Now I'm using a white Jelly Roll pen to make highlights on the right hand edge of the rainbow shapes to give it a little bit more dimension. All of the full weekly spreads will have the same basic layout, so we'll speed through that part. For the last spread, the last 3 days of June and a notes box will go on the page on the left, and the first 4 days of July will eventually go on the right. Flipping to the beginning of June, I'll go through and label each planner box with the 08 Pigma Micron. These spreads are already pretty bold and busy, so I'm just using a simple block letter capital print. Now it's time for the stickers. This is the biggest Rainbow Llama, so I centered him under my mega header. Then I surrounded him with different llamas and other small elements, including some of these semi-translucent holographic stars. On each of these weekly spreads, I'm just sprinkling different llamas between the functional boxes. I'm trying not to put similar llamas too close together and filling in the smaller spaces with the rainbows, some stars, and hearts. You may have noticed I leave a lot of blank space on my weekly spreads. I call that my flex space. I usually use that space for journaling or memory keeping, but I could use that space for anything I might need, including habit trackers or to-do lists, or I could add quotes or more decorations. But at the end of the month, all that space will be filled in. I thought the first weekly spread could use a few more stickers, so I'm adding more of the smaller elements. Now I'm going to flip to the front of the journal where I have set aside pages for my monthly health trackers. Each month's health tracker is made up of two 2-page spreads. I'm trimming off the edge of the center page to create a Dutch door and rounding the corners with a corner punch. I'm turning the notebook sideways to add the header along the right margin. I'm using Papermate flares and the same bubble font as I did on the weekly spreads, but I'm coloring in the letters instead of leaving them white. I don't add decoration to my health tracker spreads, but I like to coordinate the header and colors with the weekly pages. I also added a small JUN on the little tab. In the end, I didn't like the colors I chose, so I redid it off camera to make it more rainbow. I covered the old letters with a blank piece of white sticker paper, then I redrew the letters using 2 colors for each one. And I outlined each letter with a Pigma Micron. On the left margin, I'm adding the dates and first letter of each day of the week in rainbow colors. After writing the dates, I realized the yellow is hard to read, so I took it out of rotation for the rest of the setup. The Dutch door allows the header and dates to be visible from any part of the health tracker. I create columns next to the dates where I enter the data I track every day, with a bracket on top where I label the column with all of the parameters I'm tracking every month. The top end of each bracket is 3 dots to the right of the bottom, so the line is a little longer and it gives me a little bit more space to write. I also draw horizontal lines between Saturday and Sunday to give myself a visual separation between each week. Turning to the next page, I'm going to divide the left page into 2 columns. The first column is where I log my exercise or activity for the day. The other column is divided into 3 sections where I list my AM, evening, and late medications. I added horizontal lines between each week under the exercise column as well. The page on the right is for notes, where I write anything that doesn't have its own space. I have chronic health issues, so I like to keep track of anything that might affect how I feel. I finished labeling each section, and I'm turning back to the previous page, where I'll label the first few columns so you can get an idea of how it will look. I always track my sleep quality and the times when I take my medications. I'll fill out the rest of the columns at the beginning of June because sometimes I adjust what I track from month to month. Now it's time for the final flip through. Starting with the first 6 days of June, sharing a spread with the last day of May. This month's weekly spreads are much bolder than my usual, but I think they turned out so fun. The last 3 days of June will eventually share this spread with the first 4 days of July. Then flipping to the front of the notebook, where I have pages set aside for all of my health tracker spreads for the year. I like to have all of my health tracker spreads together for easy reference. I reserved all these pages and set up the tabs back in December when I originally set up this notebook. That's all I have for you for this video. Thank you for watching, and I hope I'll see you next time. Bye!